Contrary to what some people think, I never watch the clock, but we will. Let's stand and we'll give the pledge, okay? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we welcome you. Commissioner Ahrens and myself are going to try and come together with spending some time with all of you as your task lies ahead of you. Any opening remarks, Commissioner, that you would like to make before I have a few?
Well, I want to make, thank you, Commissioner Schmidt. I want to make a point of personal privilege here. This afternoon or today, Sheriff's Deputy Lowell Nelson retired from the employment of the county here after 19 years, and I want to say thank you to him for his, he was a mainstay, a feature at the front desk there, pulling security, and he has probably seen literally thousands of faces over 19 years of being at the security desk there. And I want to thank him for his long-term service to the county, but also to the state. He was a state trooper before he became a sheriff's deputy. He was a state trooper for 23 years, but then also his wife, Lori, was working in our treasurer's department for a long time, and she also retired today. So I want to say thank you to both of them as employees of the county for their years of service. And then I also want to just say thank you to the employees who are working here tonight to help us out with this courthouse committee. John Rombo, Paul Anderson, we got Carter in the back there, so I want to thank them. Just a couple of introductory remarks regarding this this courthouse. Just a little bit of a history lesson here, and I'll be brief.
Thank you.
Built in 1889 and completed in 1890. The style is Romanesque Revival, and the architect was Wallace L. Dow. And that is notable because he is also the architect who built the prison that has been of much discussion where the next one's going to be here in Lincoln County. The building faces south. It's 3 stories tall. It's colored stucco structure. Building is located on landscape grounds in the center of Canton, of course. The present section was at one time on the east side of the then existing courthouse built in 1875 by the Canton Building and Improvement Association. So just so folks know, there was a prior structure there that is obviously no longer there from what you see today. On the south front, there's a square tower with a clock and an open arcade that rises above the roof line. There are horizontal bands of dark stone that divide the floors and decorate the central tower. The base of the building, and you're going to see that in the basement here tonight, or if we do a walk around, is built of sandstone. And the interior, there's a wood staircase rising to the 3rd story where the large circuit courtroom is at the top on the 3rd floor, as it is in so many other courtrooms across South Dakota. A 3rd courtroom located on the 2nd story is there as well. From 1899 to 1900, there was an addition added on the west side with the clock tower and the oldest section of the building constructed in 1875. That, like I said earlier, was removed and replaced with that addition. Currently, we do hold both magistrate and circuit court up there, and I look forward to working with the committee. I think for the general public, and just so the public knows, we got to figure out what to do with the building. I'll just put all the cards on the table. The question that we're going to have to figure out as a committee is, do you demolish it or do you keep it? And if you keep it, what are you going to do with it? For myself, new construction is off the table, but I do want to hear from the public, not only members of this committee, but also hopefully from public comment as well, what their thoughts and feelings are about do we keep it or do we get rid of it? And that's why we've assembled this committee, because we want to hear from the public, and we want to have all of you help us go through a lot of the paperwork that we have, and we've got some estimates, and we're going to be pulling together estimates from the experts on what it takes to keep it and/or get rid of it. So with that, I'll just say thank you for your service to everybody here on the committee, and I look forward to our discussions. Thank you.
You know, I say this with humor, if you know me. That's why you never ask an attorney to talk first. I mean, because you get the whole load right now. Anyway, not to be redundant, but there's a little folklore that goes along with this courthouse that I was always told that there was a train wreck which had all of the big sandstone blocks, and it was to be going to Worthing, because Worthing was the center of the county, and that the train wreck stopped here in Canton, and that's why Canton, which is in this, not in the center of the county, ended up with the courthouse. Now, whether that's a true story or folklore, I don't know, but that's what I was told, just for your added edification of the building. As Commissioner Aaron said, this committee is coming together to try and reach some kind of consensus so that you can help the commission guide and make what will be a very, difficult decision on this thing, because courthouses have a lot of history, courthouses have a lot of memories, courthouses have just been part of the community forever. I'm sure that many of you, I don't know how many of you, but I can tell you that I graduated from the 8th grade in this courthouse. I got my first driver's license when I was 13 without driver's ed. You just went and signed up and got a license, and then you drove home with your dad, and if you survived it, then you were past your driver's test. I guess that's how that worked. But anyway, we got, Commissioner Aaron said it all. We got to make a decision on whether to remove that structure. And if we choose that, what are you going to replace it with? What are the options that are going through? And if we choose not to, do we remodel? And how do we remodel? Do we remodel so that we get another 10 to 15 years? And what will the costs be? And that's where John Rambo will come in. John has handed you a sheet, and I'll have John talk to you in a minute about that, because we're not really going to dwell too much on the numbers tonight, because we're going to get much more quantifiable numbers coming for you to make that decision on. So tonight, this idea is we want to look at the old courthouse. We want you to see it in its working clothes right now. And at the end of '26, isn't our move-in date, Joel, for the new courthouse 2027, or is it '26?
The substantial completion date is September of 2026
Yep.
for the new courthouse.
So we will be exiting that building, will be being standing idle at that time. And I thought we needed enough lead time for us to, or for the commission to decide what they're going to do and to put the necessary budget figures together that they have. We're also going to talk about space needs that will exist for the future. And you may think that this building is right now pretty well occupied, but we have departments that are overcrowded and they need extra space, and yet we will have people leaving this building to move over to the new courthouse. So John, do you want to run over just a little bit about what you handed out, please, and then talk about what you're doing to secure the added numbers to give the committee something to chew on?
Yes, I sure will. It's John Rombo, Building Superintendent. And what I gave you here, to be honest, are old numbers. We did this study back in 2020, and I have since reached out recently to see if we could dust off these numbers and get a more realistic, up-to-date number. So you can imagine there's some pretty big numbers here, and you're going to have to factor in some sort of a increase if we move forward with doing these kind of repairs. I thought about guesstimating a 15-20% type inflationary number, but, I'm gonna stop short of doing that, because I don't want anybody to set on any particular number until somebody that's more of an expert than me, comes up with that number. I'm not sure when we'll have those numbers. I was kinda hoping here soon, but, all those engineers and architects are really busy right now, so I can't honestly tell you what the date is. What I anticipate them doing is coming back to me and saying, yes, we'll give you new numbers, but it will cost you a little bit, and we'll have to decide if we're gonna pay that or not, or the commission will have to decide that. So, I wanted to back up quick and just add to what both the commissioners said, because I get asked this a lot, when you start talking about what we're going to do with, this courthouse. I wanna make sure that the public at large understands that it's just the old courthouse. Because there's a lot of people that think, well, they're gonna move everything out to the new building, including all the admin side. But this side that we're in right now will remain, and just the other part of the old courthouse, which right now houses pretty much all court activities, is what's moving to the new building. So the old structure that's 1899 or older is what we're talking about. And I just want the public to know that, yes, we're not talking about doing anything, and we will be occupying this current space we're in right now. All right, so as you could see, and so the public that knows, when we did this study, and I think we did a pretty accurate study. And what drove this is we have some issues. What started out is we have multiple minor issues, but we have some pretty major issues, and that's with the roof and the structures up in the timbers that hold the roof of the old courthouse. So we have some rot going on up there, we have some cracking, and that needs to absolutely be addressed. We've kind of been kicking this can down the road for a while now, obviously 5 years. So we've got to come up with an idea of what we're gonna do, because I don't see anything that's structurally emergent, but when we do our tour tonight, you guys will see there's some issues up there. So in addition to that, the building has never been a real comfortable building, because we got air conditioning in it, but because the way we did it, we don't have any fresh air intake into the building. So humidity gets high. It's an old building, so it starts to smell like an old building. Once the humidity, we get 90+% humidity and heat index is above 100. You can smell the old building in it. You can smell, and it's had bats. We've mediated the bats, but we do get the occasional bat still. So we're still getting some bats coming in, and it smells like bats. If you've been around bats, the old courthouse, when it gets really hot, gets really warm up there, you'll smell it. You're not going to smell that today, and it's not going to seem probably real bad to you today. But we've also had water penetration in the basement. Both events that produced this were kind of rare events. And I'm not talking about the flood from last summer, but the first time it happened was a irrigation line outside broke, and it was the irrigation main. And we got very lucky because somebody from dispatch was out walking, taking a break from working downstairs, and because it happened in the middle of the night, and called me and said, hey, we got water running down the street here. And so I came running over, and it was coming into the basement, into court's records. So we did lose some files in there. And luckily it was going down the drain there, and the bulk of it was running away from the building. Well, if you know anything with water penetration issues, once you get an opening for water to come in the building, it seems like it always finds a way back in the building in that same way. Well, we've had some minimal water penetration in some of the bigger rain events we've had. But also, like within a year of the first thing, we have a holding cell that's up on second floor, and I developed a leak in the wall behind the holding cell, and of course that flooded all these same areas. So we've had two major deals where we've had some records get wet and stuff, and what you'll see is that's where all of our storage is in the basement, and that's an issue because we don't have a way to really protect them from water, and if we do have a fire someday, we don't really have a good plan for that as well. So that was when we started looking 5 years ago at what we needed to do as far as improving and developing more room for our court system. We looked at lots of options. We looked at utilizing this site, maybe adding a new building to the other side of the old courthouse. We looked at many, many, many options. There was a possible, and I get asked this question all night, why didn't we just build the new building right where that courthouse was at? Well, we did have the problem that if we moved everything away to tear that down to build new, where were they all gonna go? And we were looking into those options. But we also had the problem that for the sizing that we felt we needed to have in 20 years, it was gonna be very difficult to make it fit in that footprint that exists over there. So all this came into the deciding factor to build a new courts justice center. But part of what we came up with is to make this building comfortable and safe, and what the architects were saying is that this was about a 20-year fix. As you can see, our numbers for the structural and architectural repairs was $375,000. The HVAC interior remodeling, or interior repairs were $715. That would have been to remove the steam boiler and improve all the units and bring in hot water heat to the building instead of having the steam heat. And then also adding all that fresh air intake and that sort of stuff. The interior remodel at that time, we were estimating to be at $545,000. And again, I want to remind you, these are 2020 numbers. So obviously we have some inflation on that. So at that time, our grand total was to bring it to what we thought was just to utilize that existing space and make it comfortable and safe and long-lasting was about $1.6 million. So, like I said, I've reached out. I want to get these numbers dusted off and hopefully have a little more accurate number. But the other thing I'm doing is if we decide to go down the route of demolition, then obviously it's going to be expensive because you got to tear it down but you also got to separate a lot of utilities, the fire suppression system, all that, and you have to make it look good in the end. So what I've asked some of the architects to do is at least throw me a number of what just that cost would be. So we could do some comparison. I can't tell you when I'm gonna have that number. I'd like to think I'd have it within the next month. I don't know if I will get that number that quick. I've talked to two different architects about it and I don't have a timeline yet on that. Anything else?
That'd be good, John.
All right.
Well, while we've given you a taste of this, now we're going to meet each other, and I'd like to have you introduce yourself, where you live, and just something to get to know, something about you and that you want to share. So I'll start with one of my favorite people, Mr. Scott Montgomery, down there from Fairview. And Scott, tell us about you for a little bit.
Scott Montgomery, I live down in Fairview, South Dakota. My wife Linda and I have been down there I've been there since 1993. I worked for Mid-American Energy for 36 years, did natural gas work, and the last 25 years I did power line work. So I left there in 2015 and then went to work for electrical lineman contractors and worked around the Midwest here until 2020, and since then I've been retired. So I got interest in this thing. I'd like to see something happen that's good for the county in every shape, manner, and form we can do it, whatever that may be. We may not all like it, but I think it needs to be looked at.
Thanks, Scott. Doug?
Hi, I'm Doug McKinney, Canton. I've lived here all my life. I got started in the building industry with my dad when I was 12 years old, and I worked with him full-time from 18 for 46 years, so wife and I, we both live just on the west side of Canton here, so it's about it.
Chris?
Is this on? Yep.
Yeah.
Chris York, I live here in Canton, local tree care provider and Canton City Commissioner. I've lived here since 2013 and I guess, sitting on this committee because I want to see what needs to happen and what we can do to go forward. You bet.
We appreciate that. Okay, Chad?
Evening. My name is Chad Skiles. I've lived in Lincoln County and the city of Canton for 50 years. My background is in public safety, for which I just celebrated my 40-year anniversary working in public safety, primarily in emergency medical services, but also have a background in 911. Worked in the old courthouse, worked in the old sheriff's office building. Yes, I cried the day the old sheriff's office building came down. Spent a lot of years in that one. Proud to say that along with Commissioners Ahrens and Commissioner Schmidt, the three of us are the only original members from the first Courthouse Advisory Committee to be back for the second part of it. So excited to investigate and see where this future holds. I've told Commissioner Schmidt this story before, that you know, if there's ever going to be a guy who chains himself to the wrecking ball to save the old courthouse, it's probably going to be me. That's the sentimental and the history buff of me coming out. So, thank you.
Chad, when you mentioned you spent a lot of time in that sheriff's office, they had a cell there. I mean, was that just a visit, or were you there as an uninvited guest?
I was never there as an uninvited guest.
Okay, Jerry?
Hello, everybody. Jerry Jungling. My wife and I live just outside of, well, kind of right between Harrisburg, T, and Sioux Falls. Harrisburg's city limits are on the other side of the highway. Sioux Falls is about half a mile away. Grew up in the whole T, Lennox area all my life. I work for the city of Sioux Falls. I'm in charge of light, power, and traffic. And I'm a chair of the Lincoln County Planning Commission.
Chris?
Kristen Tassler. I've lived in Harrisburg, give or take a few years, just over 30. I work in healthcare billing as a charge master analyst. I have 3 kids. My husband is an alderman for the city of Harrisburg, newly elected or on the city council. My kids are involved or have graduated from the Harrisburg school system. I like it here, and I'm interested in the old courthouse, so I'm kind of like you, and I want to see what it looks like and what it will take to maybe keep it. We'll see what that looks like, I guess.
Yeah. Jim Gibbon. I'm a retired educator of approximately 35 years, and I spent most of that time in Canton at the Canton School District. I currently live on our family farm south of Lennox, and I guess I've been involved in township government for a number of years, and most recently Lincoln County government as well. I can honestly say I do have 3 children. They're all older, and I have 6 grandchildren, and they all live in Lincoln County. I'm very fortunate that way. So I'm hoping that we can make decisions not only what's best for Lincoln County now, but also in the future. Just in thinking about that for my own family standpoint. And I'm glad that I was asked to be on this committee, and I look forward to finding out how everyone feels about the decisions and recommendations that we have to make.
Liz?
We'll save the best or worst for last. I'm Liz Stanton. I live in Lennox with my husband since 2021 and my 8-month-old son, Bob. I'm an architect by trade, and I appreciate the unique opportunity we have before us and hope to set a precedent for other counties to look to, because it's not a unique problem to just us.
Commissioner Ahrens, you want to share a little bit about your background? Well, we should ask, I suppose we should do the same, so.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Joel Ahrens, been on the, I live up in southern Sioux Falls, right off 77th Street. I represent the commission district that represents the southern parts of southern Sioux Falls as well as Harrisburg. And then my commission district goes all the way from Western Avenue all the way to the Iowa border, where I'm originally from. Originally grew up in Little Rock, Iowa. Been in Sioux Falls for decades now, long time. But been on the commission here since 2019 and absolutely love it. And yeah, I mean, if anybody's got any questions, let me know. But I'm hoping that what we can do over the next few weeks and months on this committee is get some type of consensus on what we need to do, and look forward to hearing from all of you.
Well, if you don't know me by now, you've been around. I've had the pleasure of being on this commission since 1998. And I have seen this county go from 8,000 people to 80,000 people. And it's been a privilege to be here. It's been a privilege to work on this thing, and this is something to try and put to bed is near and dear to my heart, because I think the decision we make today, or come together and make, as Liz said, will be an example for others to follow, but more importantly, as you said, Jim, something that we can look at with pride one way or the other. So I don't know that we have any other things. How do you want to work this, John? We're just going to take a walking tour through the building. We'll be going all the way upstairs to see the infrastructure near the roof, to the old courthouse, our courtrooms, to this, all those other rooms to see, but there, and in the basement to see where that's at. So, so if there's no other items on this thing, let's take it to, before you leave, excuse me. Our next meeting would be on the 10th of next week. Next week on the 10th, we'll be taking public testimony, because I think if the public wants to come in and whoever wants to come in and talk, if there is enough time, then we will start chatting about what we saw, some of the comments you have, and then what we have a meeting scheduled tentatively for the 24th, maybe.
We have them set up for every week,
Yeah.
but that's kind of
That's it,
flux.
yeah.
It's not that-
So-
It's just a book it, but we can kind of see what we need to get done and what information we have. Because if we
Paul-
don't have anything new to talk about, then we'll need to wait.
I should have mentioned, John, your title here is, for us, is what? You're the,
I'm the building and ground superintendent.
he's the one we grouse at all the time, if the sidewalks aren't done, or the lawn isn't right, or, you know, we find things to complain about, so. Anyway, Paul, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Paul Anderson, the Lincoln County Commission Admin Assistant. So I help the commissioners with any and all projects they need with the regular agenda and anything like that. So, and it's a relatively new office for Lincoln County, so if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. Or if you have any questions about this committee or any of the information that we provide or would like more, don't hesitate to reach out. I should have emailed most of you, or all of you. If you haven't got an email from me, let me know. And if you want any information, just ask, and me and John can get it for you.
Paul, was there anybody that was asked to be on the committee that isn't here tonight?
Yes, sorry, thank you. Yeah, Marlene Sweeter is also on the committee. She wasn't able to make it this week. She's driving back from Pierce still, I would assume. She was testifying earlier today, but she was asked, and she's not here tonight, but she will be a part of this going forward.
All right, thank you.
On the part of the committee, are there any questions that you have to ask before we break up and go on our tour? Are there any questions you need clarification on? Scott?
Yeah, I would like to know, what did it cost to tear the old jail down?
I'll look it up. Do you know about
I'm going to write a number down, and I'm not going to say that publicly, but was it?
Well, I'm going to write the number
50.
down too, but while we're waiting for that, what I want to say, Commissioner Schmidt, is when we break for the tour, we're not going to come back here to adjourn,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So for those of you folks who are listening or watching us online, once we break here, we're not doing like some remote camera tour, although that would be kind of really interesting, wouldn't it? And maybe we can figure that out in the future. And at this point, we're not doing public tours, but we can, if there is a demand for that, this place belongs to the taxpayers, and we're more than willing to figure that part out too. But we do have to ask for public comment, just in
Okay.
case. I don't know if there's anybody here tonight, but if you want to say something, you can. Mr. McKinney?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I thought I'd ask.
I do have questions, but
Well-
maybe they'll be answered.
Okay.
Sure. Joe, permit me, can I, while you're looking that up, Paul, I want to tell you a cute story. We had, as you know, we've had a bat problem here for some time. And we had Kelloland News come down to do a story on the bat problem of the Lincoln County Courthouse. And we had the crew came upstairs, up where you'll go up to the top. And as the crew is getting with their cameras up there, I noticed that we have a bat who is kind of floundering around, of which I gently stepped on the bat. And I repeat that, gently. And the bat squealed, and the cameraman asked, "What was that?" And I think that's a step that squeals all the time when you stand on it. So all during the interview, I'm standing on this bat, and they're taking pictures, and the guy says, "Well, I certainly don't see any bats or sign of those," of which I said nothing. I didn't. And then when they left and they're going down the stairs, you can't kill these things, supposedly. Anyway, I let up and this bat goes wobbling off somewhere into whatever. And I always remember Don Jorgensen always asked me, he said, "Did you clean out the building or beforehand?" And I said, "No." It was, I don't know, I didn't tell him that I was standing on one because that was one of those memories that you'll put in a book someday. Anyway, no other questions? What'd you find?
I'm looking, because we changed it because we had one of them, and then we merged a couple of demolition projects into one.
That's right.
The old property at the current Justice Center site, the
Fairgrounds.
Yeah, sure.
fairgrounds.
Yep.
And and the.
That old house.
so
Yep,
that
and the house.
four In one. So it might take me, if you guys get started, I'll look it up and I'll let you know while we're. Yeah, you want it. It was, I remember, yeah.
I feel like we originally estimated that just tearing that structure down was gonna be like $200,000.
Yep.
I believe we got all the structures taken down for about 160 when it was all done.
For everything.
I
Yeah.
believe so.
What was that, John?
I believe it was 160 altogether. I could probably go check, because of course I authorized the payments to them, but they went in stages as well, so I'd have to look, but
Cause it went, all the payments would go to Spielman, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, I'll look that up.
But I believe it was a lot cheaper in the end than I ever thought it would be. Especially when
I had
we
100
added all those additional structures to it.
I put $100,000 down because I thought the other ones were not nearly, and I don't think the guy made any money, because if you remember, they were banging on concrete for about a month because there were steps out there and there was all,
It was a big project.
Yeah,
It was a big project.
I'm sure that
Did
he
we ever
wanted
get the
to.
safe out of the building? Did this?
I think it went out. It was,
Oh.
Spielman's basically had the ability to do whatever with the materials that were left in it, sell doors, anything like that, so. I'm not sure what all happened to it, but
Do you ever know what they did with the old jail?
the old jail.
You know, at one time, I don't mean to digress, but this is kind of humorous. The Canton High School had an alternative school that they put in the old jail building. And that was for, kids that just had a tough time in the classroom. And I remember going over there, and then there sat the kids studying inside the jail cell. They thought that was pretty cool. And I remember then the superintendent at that time said, you guys don't get too used to this thing, so we didn't see your name there, Chad, so I guess we're okay.
You're safe.
So I believe we determined it's a little over $160,000.
163, 548.
Total.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't want to speculate. This will be more complicated.
Any other questions on the part?
How long ago was that?
That was last year.
Just last year?
Yeah.
Just about 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah.
The jail finished up in, or, because they didn't start knocking down the jail till I was here, and I started December 23.
Yeah.
And they knocked down the jail after I started.
And everything started January 24, I think.
And we decided not to put a blacktop or anything on because gravel was fine for now. Any other questions? If not, where do you want to start, John? Right outside the door and?
Yeah, we'll go here. I'd like to start down in the basement and work our way up.
Okay. All right, so everybody can, thank you all for coming. And you got questions, don't be afraid to ask along the way.
There's also, in addition to this, I'll send out a copy of the whole thing. And then there's also online under the whole courthouse improvement, there's a space needs presentation from Mark.
Thank you for coming, Jerry.
Thanks for having me.